Hi everyone, welcome back to the next diecast. In today's video, I'll be unboxing and testing out 3 more HO scale locomotives that I bought recently from trains.com. These 3 models are no longer being produced by the respective companies who make them. In fact, the companies that you see here, Model Power and Proto 2000, don't make locomotives anymore in general because the companies no longer exist, unfortunately. But I was able to get these for good prices. I was happy to find them. These were all locomotives that I was not expecting to find on trains.com. Up first, we have the Model Power EMD E7 diesel. Next, we have a Baldwin Sharknose diesel, also made by Model Power. And last but not least, we have a GP38-2 locomotive made by Lifelike Proto 2000. The E7 was $24.24. The Sharknose was $25.97, and the GP38-2 was $48.50. I will test out the EMD E7 locomotive first. As you can see, it's in the older style of Model Power box from, I guess, about the 1970s or so. It has the name on the side there and everything. It does have the lift-off lid on the box. These Model Power locomotives from the 1970s are pretty reliable, so I do expect this one to run good, but we shall see. This is the blank version. As you can see, Model Power did release several versions of these with different paint schemes. We'll pull off the styrofoam shell here. And here's the EMD E7. Looks really nice. I'm going to probably leave this undecorated. I might put a road name on it later. I don't know. It doesn't say made in Austria on the base, but it did say that on the box. The Austrian-made Model Power locomotives are pretty good in terms of quality and everything. You can see the motor through the windows and everything. Not the most detailed locomotive model in the world, but I think for a budget grade locomotive, it does look good, especially for below $25. We got it up here on the track. Now we'll go ahead and test it out. Got the power already on and the power to the track. See how she runs. Starts right up. Wow. A little bit loud, and I can actually feel the layout shaking when I run it. But wow, this is a solid locomotive, it looks like. Really nice. That's pretty fast, too, for what it is. Cool stuff. Got the working headlight, as you can see. All right. See how it goes backwards. Runs good backwards, too. Really nice. It doesn't have the directional lighting. You can see that the headlight and the cab light are on even when this runs backwards. Wow, this runs great. E-units in real life a lot of times would pull passenger trains. So I actually hooked up this E7 with my passenger coaches that I have that are actually made out of metal. So I thought these would look good with this E7, and sure enough, they do. But we will see how this runs with these passenger coaches. I think I'll either run this unit with these passenger coaches or with any given freight train, I guess, because a lot of these E-units in their later days of service did pull freight trains. We'll see how this one runs with the coaches here. There she goes. Passenger cars are kind of on the heavy side because they're made out of metal. Pretty loud, but pretty fast and runs good, I would say. Yeah, these model power locomotives from the 1970s, I think, really have held up quite well in terms of just the quality and like the pulling power and whatnot. It's just really cool to see that. I'm definitely satisfied with this locomotive, and I'm happy that I bought it. All right, up next we have the Model Power Baldwin Sharknose locomotive. This does have the Delaware and Hudson paint scheme on it. You can see it's in the same Model Power box that the EMD E7 came in. This box is a little bit beat up. I may have to tape up that plastic on there too, as you can see. It's kind of coming off a little bit. But this locomotive supposedly does run, and we will see it once I get it out of the box. But it has the name of the locomotive on the side and also on the top as well. Lift off that lid. I always love the look of these shark nose locomotives. Delaware and Hudson 1216, which is what this locomotive is modeled after, actually did exist, or actually still does exist in real life. Looks really nice with the Delaware and Hudson iconic blue and silver paint scheme on there. You get the logo on the sides and also on the front as well. There is some paint that rubbed off a little bit on some portions of the locomotive, but for the price I got this at, I'm totally okay with that. A little bit of rubbing off where the blue is and stuff on the front, and a tiny bit up on the roof, but I think otherwise this is in great shape for its age. All right, we got the locomotive up on the track here. See how she runs. Oops, got it backwards. I do want to have it go forwards first. There we go. Starts right up. A little bit slow, but looks like a solid runner. Sounds like a buzzing insect, the way that the motor is, but that's a solid motor, I can tell. Really cool. Just have the working light, which I always like to see, as well as the cab light. Still nice and bright in spite of being made in the 1970s. Wow. Awesome. Definitely impressed with this one so far. This is also made in Austria. I forgot to mention that. Now we'll do it backwards. Again, doesn't have the directional lighting, so the light will go on whether you run this locomotive forwards or backwards, but not a big deal. It is a model power locomotive from the 70s. But this runs good backwards too. Love to see it. Awesome. Now we'll see how this runs with some freight cars. This train of boxcars is now hooked up to the Delaware and Hudson Sharknose locomotive. I don't have a Delaware and Hudson caboose, but I thought this red caboose back here that's also made by Model Power does look good with the Delaware and Hudson locomotive. So we'll see how this Sharknose runs with this boxcar train. Looks like it runs good with a load of freight cars going on. That's actually faster than I thought it would be, too, with this amount of freight cars that it is pulling. Awesome. I'm definitely impressed with this. I'm really happy that I got this. The passenger cars that I have will also run great with this, too, because Sharknose locomotives did run passenger trains in real life, too. But this looks good with these box cars. Awesome. Let it go around for this last lap here. All right. Well, as you saw with the boxcars, this Delaware and Hudson Sharknose locomotive ran great. I'm definitely happy that I got this, and I'm looking forward to running it with both my passenger cars and freight cars. Last but not least, for this locomotive unboxing and testing video, we have this limited edition lifelike Proto 2000 GP38-2 locomotive with the Union Pacific Road name on it. You can see it's in the standard Proto 2000 style of box. Proto 2000 was kind of a higher end grade of HO scale locomotives and trains made by Lifelike. Here's all the different details on the back of the box here. And you would see all these features listed on the back of most of these Proto 2000 locomotive boxes. But we'll go ahead and get this one out of the box. All right, that was a bit hard to get out of the box, but as you can see, that this does have all the original paperwork and diagrams and everything. You can see here's all the different parts that the locomotive has, all the different diagrams and everything. I like these exploded diagrams. It kind of shows you all the ins and outs of the locomotive. Here's all the different prices at the time for the different parts that this locomotive came with. I'm not sure when exactly this particular HO locomotive was made, probably in the late 1990s or maybe like the early 2000s or so. And there was the warranty card there too. You'd see that the locomotive still has the plastic on it, so I just got to get this untaped from the styrofoam. And then it just pulls off like that. Well, this looks really nice. Here's the Union Pacific 2142 locomotive, GP38-2. I got to install the couplers on it, it looks like. All right, got the Union Pacific GP38-2 locomotive out of the box. I did install the knuckle couplers that it came with. I think that was pretty standard for these Proto 2000 locomotives by Lifelike to have the couplers kind of loose in the box, and then the owner could then install them. But look at how well detailed this locomotive is. Really, really nice. And just the overall, paint scheme and everything on here just looks really cool. All the logos and everything are present that you would see on the real locomotive. Even the little tiny warning signs on the sides and everything. Just looks really well detailed. And Lifelike did release several GP38-2 locomotives in just their standard, I guess, regular line, we'll call it, where of course they weren't as well detailed, had noisier motors and everything. And Lifelike locomotives in general, I think, are good quality, especially considering that a lot of them were sold mainly as, toys. And a lot of them were used in various starter sets. But the Proto 2000 locomotives are certainly very well detailed, and you can certainly see that here with this GP38-2. But we will see how this GP38-2 runs. Already got the power on and everything. We'll give her a go. That is really, really quiet. Look at that. Wow, smooth, quiet runner. Really nice. Just squeak a slight bit, but that's not really a big deal. Nice headlight in the front there. Slow it down a little bit. Wow. I do have a Bud RDC car. It's basically this up top, only a powered version, also by Proto 2000, and it pretty much sounds just like this GP38-2. Runs nice, smooth, and quiet. I'd love to see that. Just had a little bit of a whine going on, but that's not really a big deal. We'll see how it runs backwards. Not sure if it has directional lighting. It does have directional lighting. Look at that. It seems to run a slight bit faster backwards. I don't think the real life GP38-2s run really fast, but this one really looks good. Runs nice and smooth. I'm very impressed. I don't think this was ever run before. Trains.com claimed this was mint on their listing for it, and it certainly seems like it's mint from the way it looks, the way it runs. Really cool. Let's speed it up a bit. Wow. I forgot to mention that Union Pacific 2142 does exist in real life as well, except now it's actually numbered 642. It was renumbered sometime in the early 2000s. But we'll see how this runs with some freight cars next. All right, I did push it up a little bit to make room for the freight cars that I put on. As you can see, it has a line of gondolas. I do have a Union Pacific gondola that I got a little while back. And then, of course, you have seen this Union Pacific caboose in several previous train videos as well. We'll see how this train of gondolas runs with this Union Pacific GP38-2 locomotive. Got the power already on. See how it runs. A little slow. There we go. Wow. This is about the average length of freight train that I usually have on the layout here. This is pulling it quite well, this locomotive. Love to see it. Still runs nice and smooth and quiet, even with this load behind it. Wow. Yeah, that Proto 2000 brand, you never expected to be a part of Lifelike, but it actually is. Of course, regular Lifelike does have a lot of very reliable locomotives, but in terms of detail and quality, the Proto 2000 series and even the Proto 1000 series really is awesome in terms of the locomotives that they came out with. And for under $60, this is a really good deal, at least I thought. Wow. Well, this locomotive certainly looks amazing and runs really well. I'm definitely happy that I got this one for sure. Well, I'm certainly satisfied with all three of these locomotives that I got from trains.com. I'm really happy that I happened to find them on there when I did for the good prices that I got these for. Yeah, they are all a little bit older and everything, and especially for the model power locomotives, they don't run like the smoothest. They're quite loud, but they're very powerful. They're quite reliable as well, and they just look good, I think, in general. Not the most detailed locomotives in the world, but I certainly am happy to have them in my fleet of HO scale locomotives. And in terms of the Proto 2000 GP38-2, this is very well detailed and runs very smooth. I think for under $60, this is a really good deal, especially considering that it was, I think, brand new in the box, essentially, unless it was ran maybe a couple times prior to whoever sold it to trains.com. But very cool. I'm always happy to make these videos where I test out these HO scale locomotives, and I certainly have fun with filming them as well. So feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on any of these locomotives that I featured in the video, and perhaps let me know which one of these was your favorite. As always, feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on the video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.